orang yang punya network paling luas dan paling banyak is a giver. Karena dia jadi top of mind orang, dan orang tuh selalu feel kayak jadi gue ngerasa ngutang nih sama Valdo, jadi whatever Valdo ask nanti dia akan mau bantuin. So what is the correlation with this practical tips adalah gue tuh baru sesuatu adalah jadi semakin lu muda sebenarnya itulah yang lu sebenarnya nggak punya intensi apa-apa, sehingga lu paling bisa punya genuine relationship tuh di situ.
Now, gue mau ngomongin soal, tadi kita udah ngomongin soal kuliah lo ya, perjalanan lo dari kecil, dari baik sampai kuliah.
Baik.
Nah, gue mau ngomongin perjalanan lo dari kuliah sampai sekarang gitu. And especially biar kita bisa ngasih audience kayak tips and insights into careers yang mereka nggak bisa temuin di mana-mana. Nah, pertama-tama mungkin gue mau ngomongin soal journey lo. Kan lo tadi dari pas keluar dari UI, lo kepingin bikin bisnis dulu kan?
Iya.
Dan abis itu lo masuk ke consulting.
Yeah.
Which is, menurut gue juga salah satu jalan yang banyak banget orang pingin. Just kayak masuk consulting, masuk.
Okay.
Dan ujung-ujungnya, gue kepingin jadi founder, gue kepingin jadi entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Tapi, what do you think about that kind of, goal? Is that the right thing to think of when you're thinking about your goal, to have like one big goal yang lo udah punya dari awal and try to achieve it, or you think that you should try out different things, or what do you think is the best journey?
Okay, I just realized tuh anak kuliah itu they always think about something big, sesuatu yang ngikutin social contract. Tapi mereka tuh nggak tahu kalau itu sebenarnya social contract gitu. Dan jadinya mereka, tapi they always say that it's actually my dream. Gue tuh pengen ini. Ya. Tapi the underlying foundation of the why nggak dalam. Jadi dia punya kedalaman tuh kecil. For example, dulu zaman gue tuh, even kemarin gue baru datang back to the while I'm in McKinsey community. Most of the words always say like, lu mau masuk mana segala macam. Gue mau masuk consulting kayak paling either M, B, or B. M, B.
Yeah.
Kenapa? Ya, kayaknya it's great to start, tapi not sure on the future. Which is, gue totally get it. Karena setelah gue pelajarin, my dreams are also evolving. Dulu gue ingat banget, dulu gue pengennya tuh mau jadi government officials. Yeah. Menteri atau whatever. Sekarang tuh in one sentence, my dream is like, I want to become a billionaire that has strong influence to the country, so I can create systemic change. That one-liner. I always say that to everyone. Dan itu akhirnya kebentuk setelah berapa tuh? Gue lulus tahun 2020, sekarang udah berarti 3 tahun kan.
Yeah.
Udah evolving. Dan I think kayaknya, gue gak tahu sih, cuman I think sampai sekarang gue masih stick to that plan.
Sustainable lah ya.
Exactly. Karena lu pas kuliah itu, there are a lot of blind spots. For example, menurut lo masuk kuliah, masuk consulting, gajinya lumayan, ya memang relatif lebih gede, dan akhirnya lu ngeliat juga teman-teman lu keren, dan itu kan keren itu juga, siapa sih yang buat keren itu kan buat otak lu aja ya, yang di pengertian sosial kan, jadi lu mau masuk sana juga gitu. Tapi ternyata sebenarnya nanti pas abis lu masuk consulting, lu udah mulai, ada deh gue kayaknya ini not for me. Oh, temen gue bisnis gede lebih gede, oh ini automated, dan itu nanti mulai berubah juga. Tapi ada juga banyak juga teman gue yang masuk misalnya consulting ya, or whatever lah ya, nggak harus consulting, dia stick to that plan, ya sekarang udah sampai project leader. Ada juga beberapa yang gue kenal, senior gue yang gue baru kenal, mungkin pas dari associate udah mau jadi manager level, mungkin the track udah mau jadi associate partner or what. So yeah, it's actually always evolving. Terus you need to know that what do you want dulu sebenarnya. Dan ada beberapa blind spots, kayak contoh uang. Nanti sebenarnya lu masuk consulting juga selalu hitung-hitung mau beli rumah, lu let's say lah gaji lu 100 juta misalnya. Lu ada beli rumah, lu bayar sekolah, terus lu mau jalan-jalan juga tiap semester, lu mau ambil cuti, oh ternyata tuh nggak add up juga, tetap mau ada side hustle. Nanti lu ketemu orang yang lebih kaya karena bisnis, lu akan nanya caranya dia gimana. When you know the steps to get into it, lu mau juga. Ada juga orang yang masuk consulting jadi kayak over proud menurut gua. Oh, gua bisa ketemu menteri apa segala macam. Tapi sebenarnya dia deep inside nggak terlalu membanggakan itu karena pekerjaannya dia nggak bisa publicly say that their works, dan dia juga nggak bisa dibilang apa ya, belum tentu diimplementasikan juga gitu kan. Grand plan roadmap.
Yeah.
So it's there would be a lot of blind spots, which is fine, but my suggestion, talk to the 5-6 years working experience people.
Yes.
That it will help you a lot. Sorry, what was your question again tadi? Remind me. I mean, what is the main question?
Do you think that following that kind of path, becoming consultants and then at the end, entrepreneurs, right?
Ya, yang tadi udah mulai. Jadi
Yes.
this is fine, cuman it will evolve, tapi to make sure before lu beneran mau itu, talk to the 5-6 years experience people, yang apalagi yang diverse gitu.
From diverse industries.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. And then what kind of questions then you will ask this 5-6 people?
This is cool. Bener juga ya, apa yang bakal gua tanya ya?
Gitu ya.
Search.
Udah makan belum?
I wish. Of course, like yang lo cari kalau nyari kerja apa? That's fundamental question. Which I already have the answer juga kan. Tapi gue bakal selalu nanya itu. Terus kedua, kalau biasanya gue lihat orangnya itu, this is very interesting. I found out that orang yang punya mimpi itu mimpinya akan semakin besar, semakin dia tua. Gue ingat banget dulu, gue pas maba, gue udah kenal salah sini, most of the people going to WIM, saya dia mau jadi menteri.
Wow.
Right? Pas gue tingkat 2, kayaknya udah berkurang jauh lah. Tingkat 3, kayaknya gue masuk, Big Four aja deh.
Gitu ya.
Sekarang juga gue, orang-orang yang pas ini juga udah mulai, gue susah sih jadi menteri. Gimana nih? Realistis. Kenapa nggak realistis jadi menteri anyway? So, gue, apa ini korelasinya terhadap yang gue tanyain, gue tuh selalu akan nanya ke orang yang 5-6 tahun. Dulu mimpi dia apa? And are they right now still sticking to that plan gak? Nah, gue pengen tahu rahasianya apa gitu. Untuk dia stick to that plan. To have the spirit untuk tetap semangat kejar mimpi. Karena gue juga tipe yang gue tipe yang lumayan oke dalam mengatur energi untuk mengejar apa yang gue mau. Tapi I found that a lot of people have unique ways. For example, kemarin gue ngobrol sama this great person, one of the founders of YLI by McKinsey, namanya Tuti Collier. I asked her, dulu I literally say this, Kol punya this great spirit untuk tetap bangun YLI. Why you stay at this company more than years? I will not do it. And she say, why not? Yeah, what drives you? Gue bilang gitu. Terus dia bilang, I have a good set of examples who are actually nearly around me. Right? Gue bilang, siapa? Ada, if I'm not mistaken, her mom or her grandma or whoever yang udah walaupun udah nikah, berkeluarga, masih semangat, tetap terus keep pushing, gak pernah nyerah. That winning mentality. Terus ada juga I ever asked person, what drives you? Itu, I think this is really interesting. Jadi, he said that he wants to be VP. Gue gak tau apa dia bilang. Dia mau jadi vice president, and then he always watches until today. Dia selalu nonton movies or series yang highly related to the presidents or high official rankings governments. Jadi kayak lo pernah gak sih nonton sesuatu terus lo kayak gue pengen jadi ini gitu. Gue bisa nih gini. Jadi dia tuh bangun, dia feel that way.
Yeah.
Right, something like that. Nah, gue tipe yang mirip-mirip kayak gitu. Ya, jadi kayak gue kadang sampai sekarang
Nonton film
documentary.
Oh,
I really like winning. Jadi kayak an underdog. Terus tiba-tiba jadi wow winners and dia bisa
Hero.
retain gitu.
Yeah.
Serena Williams, right? One of the Grand Slam winners yang bisa balik setelah punya anak, berkeluarga segala macam dan bisa tetap performing. So something like that kan. Itu motivates me loh. The Redeem Team itu movie soal anak-anak tim USA udah kalah beberapa kali dari Olympics dan dia harus membangun lagi the mentality untuk menangin the negara. Jadi I always ask that question. So that's second one, right? Gue malah menjawab juga. And the third one, I always say that I always ask, kayaknya gue bahkan selalu kan ya, lo tuh in your dreams in the next 5-10 years atau even pas umur 50, what is your end game? Kayak Panita kan, end game. Nah gue selalu melihat what is the correlation dengan end game-nya dia sekarang dengan apa yang dia kerjakan. Usually, this is really interesting, tapi sangat sedikit orang yang gue lihat itu highly correlated. Contoh, most of people yang gue tanya itu selalu yang kayak, oh ya, gue pengen banget jadi punya bengkel, kebun di desa, ya gue hidup aja di situ.
Okay.
Tapi what they are doing right now is like, ya udah, investment banker, VC guy, startup tech guy. Gitu.
I see.
Jadi the correlation is just like kumpulin uang aja udah. Sebenarnya gitu kan, tapi ya I don't know lah ya, I never ask about the correlation, tapi kayak gue ngeliat agak jauh. Nah, why I always ask these questions to them? Karena yang gue found out adalah biasa tuh ada insight menarik, mereka jadi tarik sedikit ke belakang. Misalnya contoh, iya gue sebenarnya mau jadi ini, kan gue terlanjur di industri ini. Jadi biasanya jadi kasih advice tuh, gue saran dulu gak usah deh ke industri ini. So kenapa? Terus habis itu, mending lu kalau lu awalnya memang mau jadi santai-santai pensiun muda, lu bisnis dari awal. Lu susah-susah aja. Gue terlanjur nyaman. Gue punya anak, gue punya istri. There's nothing more that I can sacrifice. Baru lulus, go out, all out your money, tabungan buat sesuatu. Jadi kayak gitu kan. Jadi ya bisa back to the second question juga tuh. Jadi lo sekarang gimana to keep you motivated and what, right? And I think around that questions terus mungkin ya first one more pragmatical lah ya. What should I do? Gue harus kerja dulu atau S2 dulu. There are a lot of angles in that questions kan. Terus habis itu kalau misalnya gue mau S2, apa yang gue harus siapin? Tapi ask it to the right guy lah. Kayak, ask this to the person who goes to Harvard. Ask this question who goes to MIT. Karena if you ask the people that go to the medical universities, if the answers is just like siapin SI. The answers is just like, ya lu nanti lihat aja LPDP butuh apa.
Yeah.
Tapi when you ask these questions to the top people, itu they're very specific. Kayak, Dok, lu mau jadi apa? I want to become billionaire. Don't go to S2 in here. You know, go to executive education. Terus dia jambarin, right? Terus sampai gue harus siapin GMAT, SAT, ya oke lah. Tapi you know, you need to think, you need to prepare about what kind of business. And this is a really good answer one of my mentors. What kind of business that you want to scale up and you think that MBA could be a next asset to scale up your business. For example, gue punya investment firm. Gue bisa nggak nih, kalau gue S2, gue selalu akan punya mimpi, gue bisa nyari orang-orang yang future founders, kalau jadi orang kaya, masuk ke investment firm gue. Kalau gue mau S2, gue pasti akan kenalan sama seluruh dosen, supaya nanti jadi ngajarin di Gandeng. So, think about it. Don't think about happy cuman belajar doang. There are a lot of kayak insightful. So, you know, those are questions yang you should ask. Nanti mungkin bisa bantu di recap kali ya. I already forget. But when you ask those questions, try to write it, and you can compare to each others, right? And don't forget to ask how to find a good mentor. I think that's also good. Yeah, how to find a good mentor.
Got it. Wow, that's so.
Exactly. Beri sampai udah lupa.
Tapi sebenarnya kalau dari yang gue simpulin kan tadi you're talking a lot about like talking to the right people.
Yeah.
So I still think that even if you do start your journey at like typical MDD firms.
Yeah.
But maybe you should utilize that moment to build your network so that you have the right people around you. So actually, it's also a good strategy to pick like the right environment that you can learn with. So mungkin biar lebih practical dikit nih buat graduates. Karena kan mungkin not all of them have the access as a student to have for this like amazing people yang 5 to 6 years. So do you think that because I've been like reading this book and I think which is called Barking at the Wrong Tree. There's one of the advice for success is that success also relates to the environment that you're in. If you're in an environment that supports your success, then you can do it. But if you're in an environment where your strengths itu nggak bisa diutilize oleh that environment, then it will hold you back. Nah, menurut lo gimana sih cara pilih tempat kerja industri yang bisa yang bisa utilize and flourish from your own strength?
Wow, and that's a tough question. Okay. I always say to young graduates who have big dreams, choose small companies. Why? You will be very near you will be very close with the founders.
I agree.
Right? You will, menurut gua dengan cara gitu, it either to go big or go home. Dulu nggak sampai sekarang even, right? Working at Fritz as the board member with the founders, the CEO is like he's at the top, man. I mean, like dia punya spirit tuh kayak kenceng banget gitu. It should be grow. Kita harus apa lagi yang kita bisa ubah. The CEO. And right now, the other company that I work with, I'm not really close with the founders. Even bahkan udah generasi keberapa, mungkin udah perpindahannya udah berapa ya. Nah, 2-3 kali jadi CEO kali ya. I'm not mistaken 2 kali I guess. Itu kan udah jauh juga kan. And I'm not really close with them. And the company that I'm working with right now, itu nggak terlalu, I can say that I cannot see and sense the spirit of the leadership aja sih. Right? Because sekarang jauh juga anyway. Nah, so how to pick that is seeing the size of the company and always ask to the HR, like, how many people away from me, from the CEO to me. Dan lo harus bisa make sure that can you get the access to talk to them. Ya, pertama tadi selain sense, nuance their characters tuh ya, their knowledge of course. Tapi yang gue lihat selalu tuh adalah winning mentality sih. Itu susah banget punyanya. Lu gak nyerah. Dan susah lu kerja. Lu kalau kerja sama orang, lu udah makan, lu dapat settle uang masuk maksudnya itu lu bakal nyamain aja. Lu paling nangis dikit. Aduh gue gak mau kerja lagi. Besok lu kerja lagi. Tapi kalau founders tuh dia gak akan gitu. Kayak I can go whenever I want. Dia punya pemikiran sendiri terhadap gue harus make this. Dan gue gak ngerti juga sih banyak founders yang gue lihat punya that kind of spirit. Anyway, second one I think the person that you are work with. Dan the person that you are work with itu kan sebenarnya kayak something like person like ya kalau gue sih selalu ngelihatnya ada nggak komponen dari mimpi gue yang udah ada di dia sekarang. Jadi misalnya for example kayak my boss right now in my startup, she's really tough, she's really smart, so it's really good for her to be an example for me. Gitu. Jadi he's lebih ke ada nggak komponen yang gue mau jadi apa, dia ada di situ kan. To your work with. And third one, I think the company itself. Kalau you're still young graduates, don't seek stability. I always say that never settle. Karena kalau di big companies there are a lot of systems and your room for improvement itu sangat dikit. Tapi kalau di company kecil tuh, lu mau propose ideas, even you can send a message of innovation of idea to the CEO.
Yeah.
CEO-nya bilang iya, he never talk to the finance, okay, give him budget, and that's it. You are the project owner. Gitu gak? And last one, I guess, the fourth one, learnings, I think. Karena gini, banyak kalau di company itu you are hired to put more values. Padahal you are still yang graduate misalnya kan, you are expected more. So make sure that ya lu nanya sama orang yang pernah kerja di situ, how far that you will learn in this company. Biasanya ada yang jawab, oh sebenarnya enggak sih, malah kita yang disuruh riset cara risetnya kita nggak ngerti gimana. I think that's more or less sih.
Since I want to go into the last segment, and in the last segment kita bakal nanya pertanyaan yang hopefully bakal kita tanya terus ke speaker-speaker lainnya, karena lo speaker pertama, jadi kita cobain prototype lah.
No worries.
Okay, first question, general, what practical tips and advices would you give ke mahasiswa zaman sekarang?
Ke mahasiswa zaman sekarang. Punya ambisi itu everyone has it, right? Apalagi di era kan.
Yeah.
Lo mau jadi ini, mau jadi itu. On how know the how are also is also easy now. Connect to the person that you want to LinkedIn juga kayak everyone, I think udah sering gitu. Tapi I think this is I don't know, has anyone ever said it or not? Tapi buat gua it's like be a giver, jadi giver. So I also wanna, I always say this to everyone, but there is a research kan made this by Adam Grant. Jadi Adam Grant ini ngebuat satu buku ya dan riset tentang ada tipe apa aja sih di dunia ini. There's that giver, matcher, and taker. Nah lucunya, ketika gue nanya orang, siapa sih menurut lo yang pasti jadi top performer? Itu everyone says giver. And I was like, and who is the worst performer? Kayak taker. Ternyata tuh it's not like that. The worst performer is giver, tapi the topest performer is also giver. Kenapa bisa? Karena the worst performer giver ini selalu mau ngebantu orang, tapi jadinya nggak deal. Contohnya kalau sales, let's say sales asuransi lah, because I'm also part of it kan. Kalau di asuransi itu lo pengen banget kayak bisa deket sama orang, you influence people to buy. Tapi also there are a lot of but it's based on the research juga, sales itu yang kayak, ibu bisa apa, ibu mau ngelakuin apa, bapak apa yang bisa saya bantu deh. Tujuannya dia supaya deket, akhirnya dia mau beli kan. Tapi yang dia bantu sebenarnya it's not highly related to it juga, jadi orang-orang bisa nggak beli juga. Tapi the topest performance sebenarnya dari topest itu gara-gara itu juga. Jadi mereka baik banget, mereka sering ngebantuin orang, jadi orang ini tuh jadi top of mind-nya orang itu. Jadi misalnya gue jualan, kalau gue bilang gini, I want to explain this, I want to pitch that, kalau lu nggak mau beli, it's okay. Jadi kan lu akan refer, Valdo tuh ngejelasinnya bagus, dan dia lu nggak beli juga nggak apa-apa, lo go to Valdo. Jadi you become the top of mind of the person, right? Nah akhirnya biasanya kalau di riset itu awal-awal mungkin nggak laku, tiba-tiba lu exponential, karena referral banget kan. There is a concept in a business that a company starts when you do the sell. The company grows when you hire salesmen, but the company scales when the customer sells to other customers. So right, you are my customers, terus lo jadi ngejual ke yang lain. So that's actually how the network become exponential kan. Jadi lu jadi top of mind orang. Nah, terus dilihatlah sama Adam Grant, giver ini yang top performer tadi, what are the benefits of them? Apakah mereka orang terkaya? What are the benefits? Ternyata orang yang punya network paling luas dan paling banyak is a giver. Karena dia jadi top of mind orang, dan orang tuh selalu feel kayak jadi gua ngerasa ngutang nih sama Valdo. Jadi whatever Valdo ask nanti, dia akan mau bantuin. So what is the correlation with this practical tips adalah, gue tuh baru sesuatu adalah Jadi semakin lu muda, sebenarnya itulah yang lu sebenarnya nggak punya intensi apa-apa, sehingga lu paling bisa punya genuine relationship tuh di situ. Kayak lu nggak tahu sih, gue sering banget ngobrol sama orang tua ya kayak, ih dulu papa ini tuh bukan bokap gue lah, anggap aja kayak bokap gue misalnya orang tua lah, atau ini dulu temennya om nih, kalau dulu tahu dia bakal begini, om temen ini dari dulu udah mendeketin, kalau nggak bisa begitu kan. So create more friends dari lo sekarang, happy bareng mereka, but be the giver. Jangan jadi matcher itu kan orang yang kalau gue kasih apa nanti gue lihat nih gue akan dapat apa ya, atau kalau gue dapat apa gue bisa kasih balik ya. Kalau taker kan yang gue dapat terus opportunities. Don't be like person, but be this giver. Tapi yang harus punya wisdom juga. Lo kalau ngebantuin dia genuinely, tapi kalau misalnya ternyata lo memang ada sesuatu, jangan sampai lo dimain, they take you for granted, jadi lo jadi worst performer anyway. Lo gak akan di refer juga kan. So I think be a giver.
Yes, I also agree. And kayak we both like to help people.
Exactly.
Just genuinely want to help people.
Exactly.
But also know the limits as well. Second question, ini retrospective question juga. Kalau misalkan you're going back to your college years, mereka ada nggak sih yang lo bakal do differently?
Gak ada. Harus ada, of course. I'm a person that's so ambitious sampai gue ingat banget sebenarnya gue bawa UI. Yang gue bayangkan itu adalah gue pacaran di danau itu apa sih yang depan perpus.
Oh, Sakara.
No, what are those? Danau Kenangan ya, yang kayak depan perpus itu kan. Lu yang duduk bagus banget, yang hadapnya ke Malairo. Itu kan indah banget kan. Jadi dulu karena saudara-saudara gue, nggak sih cuma satu saudara gue. Jadi saudara gue dan teman senior alumni gue yang ke UI selalu ngomong, pokoknya nanti mau either pacaran or whatever. Jadi di danau itu, jadi lo harus nanti duduk apa di danau itu or what. Jadi gue selalu berpikir, gue mau pacaran nanti duduk di danau itu. Gitu. Tapi nggak sampai sekarang nggak kesampaian kan. Because I think I'm too busy with myself. So what yang kalau gue bisa redo, kayak gue akan menambah kehidupan romansa. Because
kenapa tuh?
Exactly right. I think I'm becoming more empathetic person after I broke up. Jadi gue baru ngerti ya. I think I'm back and listen.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Jadi maksud gue, dulu tuh gue tipe yang kalau ada orang curhat, lu tuh harus, oke, lu baru putus. Oke, kita breakdown. Gue ambil kertas. Sampai salah satu teman baik gue dari Batam itu udah males sekali cerita ke gue. Karena gue selalu kayak, gitu aja galau kau. Gue selalu ngomong gitu. Kok gitu aja kok gak bisa tidur sih? Dan gue begitu juga.
Gue juga.
Yeah, right. Jadi so it's something that I wanna redo because love relationship itu creates kayak high growth in my characters development. Gue bisa jadi lebih dengerin, gue bisa jadi refleksi diri. Hubungan tuh kan ngajarin lo gak bisa memaksakan kehendak dia kita kan, ketemu di tengah. And it actually helps me to even become at pitching to pitch the investors, to do more good selling activity. Di situ gue makin ngerti, oke, untuk dia buat mau beli, I showed us them what do you want, apa yang gue bisa penuhi nih dari situ. I think ya itu sih menambahkan kehidupan romansa. Banyak orang yang underlook itu, orang tua bilang jangan pacaran, harus serius kuliah, ya lo harus serius kuliah of course. Tapi trust me, that kind of relationship yang sangat intim dengan wanita dan pria, you have love engagement, it also help you to become a better person, to be honest.
Wow. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Gina, for today.
And that wraps up our first episode of Gandeng Podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you, guys.